Is he going to have a microphone?
Oh, just a minute. Robbie, would you like to have a microphone?
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I started
Doug's going to share a scripture and then
Today's scripture is out of Romans 13:1. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God.
I think that's a really fitting piece of scripture, and I think that's something that I think could stand to be read aloud in the Senate someday. Well, maybe someday. Oh dear. I told Brian I didn't want any technical difficulties.
you'll get it. You'll get it.
It might. Here, got to sign back in. So, well, thank you all for coming. I'm very excited to be able to share my experience with you all. It's been a very busy few months, as I'm sure many of you guess. And I'm sure some of you have watched the news and seen some of the things that have happened. And it's really been just incredible to be a part of some of those things on the news that some of you have seen. But yeah, I'm just very excited to share with all of you tonight. So really what I'd like to do tonight is just give you all a basic general outline of what it is I do, what we do, what the program is all about. But for the most part, I'd like to really open the floor to questions and be able to do my best to answer any questions that any of you might have. So yeah, I'll get started then. I am a United States Senate page for the fall 2024 semester. I'm sponsored by our very own Senator Jerry Moran. This is my official page portrait. I took it just a couple months ago. And I want to tell you about what I do.
That's a great picture.
Oh, yes,
we love it.
Thank you. Okay, first I'd like to give you a general history of the PAGE program. So it began in 1829 when 9-year-old Grafton Hansen was hired by Senator Daniel Webster of Massachusetts. Here's a picture of our very own Daniel Webster. In 1971, the first female pages were appointed. We actually have a plaque in the page school commemorating that date. And then in 1993, Daniel Webster Hall was established. That is where all the Senate pages live. That's where I live. And then in 1995, the page school moved from the attic of the Library of Congress into the basement of the Daniel Webster Hall. So that's where we go to school every morning. And this is a picture of Daniel Webster Hall, where all the pages live. There are 27 of us. The boys are on the second floor, the girls are on the first floor, and like I said, the school is in the basement. This is a picture of it in the wintertime, though I probably will not get to see it like this. Evidently, it does not snow much in D.C. It just gets very cold. Interestingly enough, before it was the Senate page residence, it was actually a funeral home. So anytime we hear a strange noise, we like to joke around. Well, it's just one of the ghosts. No, it's a very nice dorm. When it was originally converted into a paid residence, they actually put $8 million into refurbishing it. Actually, over this next upcoming summer, they're planning on doing another big renovation. So the summer pages will actually have to live in a hotel during their terms. So unfortunately, I won't get to see it in its newly updated state, but that's okay. So I want to talk about my schedule here. And I'm sorry that it's a little bit small, but I guess it also kind of shows just how much we have on our schedule. But I'll just go down and explain each part. So every day at 5 a.m., we wake up and get ready for the day. We have about 30 minutes to get ready, and that includes just getting dressed, getting our rooms ready for inspection, and then getting downstairs to begin the day. At 5:30, we have to be downstairs. Of course, the room has to be ready. We have to be in uniform. And we have about 45 minutes from 5:30 to 6:15 before school officially starts. Now, during that time, it's either your time to eat breakfast or get help from your teachers in whatever class that you need help in. Now, personally, I do need a little bit help just because the curriculum's so different, and I come from a completely different school, and we all come from different academic backgrounds, so that's something that each of us have to adjust in our own way, and for most of us, that's just getting help from our teachers. So that 45 minutes, most of my time is spent in the math classroom instead of in the kitchen eating breakfast. Usually, in the last 5 minutes or so, I'm able to snag a cup of yogurt or something, but unfortunately, unlike home, and for really none of us are eating big, nice breakfasts. So, yeah, the choice really a lot of times is fail your classes or eat. So, but, you know, I'm almost through it, so I don't think about it too much. And then at 6:15, school will begin. There are 4 periods, just the basics: science, math, reading, and history. Classes, we really have 3 schedules. Either where classes are around 20 minutes long, those are usually on field trip days where we have something going on in the morning where we're going somewhere. The second is what we're usually on, which is 35-minute classes. And then the longest that our classes will ever be is 50 minutes. We have one break in between the second and third period. It's 10 minutes long. And then once you get through all your classes, and of course very homework, most of it is just giving out homework, to be honest. But after that, we report straight to work and get ready for the day to begin. Usually the Senate will, during the regular week, the Senate will convene at 10 a.m. On Mondays, usually at 3 p.m., so that gives us a little bit more time. And then on Friday, they're usually not in session at all. So that's that's usually how it goes, but especially in these last few weeks where it got kind of crazy, yeah, it was not how it went at all. But that's all right. But that's the thing, we're really supposed to get there about 1 hour before the Senate convenes. And so that's when we begin our daily work. And then, usually on Fridays, or like I said, when the Senate's not in session, at 4 p.m. we'll go home. Sometimes on Thursdays they'll finish up early and they'll be done by 4 p.m. We all get to go home. But again, usually not the case. And we go throughout the day just doing our usual work. But then at 5 p.m. we have 2 shifts, late shift and early shift. At 5 p.m. the late shift will return to Daniel Webster Hall for usually about an hour to eat dinner. The Page residents, they will cater a meal from a local restaurant. They have a very large variety. We've had Italian food, we've had Greek food, Mexican food, Peruvian food. I mean, just about anywhere in the world we've had a dinner from there. And then they will return back by 6 p.m. and then early shift pages will get to come home for the rest of the night and they won't go back to work, usually. Some special stuff has happened. I might be able to tell you a little bit about that later on. But personally, I really like being early shift for the most part, usually, especially when I have a lot of homework to do. Just because, especially if it's a day where, it's so busy, you don't have time to do homework during when you're actually working, that you just need that time to be able to sit and do homework for the rest of your night. And then late shift, however, they're kind of stuck there until the Senate adjourns, which, could be whenever. The latest I've ever gone is 1 in the morning. Yes. Now, actually, I was getting very close. They do actually have a cutoff at 1:30. If you are still there at 1:30, then the early shift pages will be awakened, and they will go to work, and you'll go home and go to sleep. And actually, the night that I went to 1 a.m., when I got back, about 1:15-ish, my roommate was awake, about to get ready, and he was kind of disappointed that, for one, he missed it on the experience, but also he woke up for nothing. But, yeah. And then on regular weeknights, our curfew is at 9 p.m., and that's when our chores begin. Chores rotate on a weekly basis by room, and they range from all sorts of stuff from cleaning the washing machine to cleaning the kitchen, vacuuming, just general stuff. Oh my goodness. Just general stuff like that. Some chores are definitely better. Oh boy. Some chores are definitely better than others. My room's personal favorite chore is laundry chore, just because it's so easy. It consists of taking out the trash in the laundry room and opening all the doors to the washing machine so that they don't get moldy. And then it takes about maybe 3 minutes, and then you're done, and you have the rest of the night to yourself. Some other chores are pretty terrible. The worst chore, by far, is kitchen chore. Basically, you have to reorganize the entire kitchen, clean it, disinfect the whole shebang, take out the trash, wash the dishes, all that. But then also in the morning, during those 45 minutes that you're either doing, getting help from your teachers or eating breakfast, you have to take 10 minutes to, again, desanitize, disinfect, and clean the kitchen. So, yeah, pretty terrible. Yeah, that's one of the great talents of the program is taking time away from you in ways that you don't expect. But I guess it's part of it, just working through it, and it's a great experience. And it's a great teacher, teaching you how to manage your time and also, be prepared for the unexpected to happen, because it does happen quite a bit. But then again, on regular weeknights at 10 p.m., you're restricted to your room. That's when the phones also turn off, so you can't be making late night phone calls to your family. My roommate, he's actually really bad about that. He likes to call his mother at 9:58 every night. And there have been several occasions where he will be in the middle of a sentence and it will just go silent. And he has to wait until the next day to be able to call his mother again. So, yeah, he's never gotten. I've tried to help him get better at that, and to no avail, unfortunately. Yeah, but then by 10:15, you have to be lights out and in bed. And they will make sure of that, because they will go around, peeping under doors, making sure that everything's quiet and dark. So they're very serious about that. And then you go to sleep and do it all over again the next day.
Wow.
So, and probably the biggest question that I get asked most often is, what do I actually do? And believe me, some days I don't really know. But the main core of what we do is outlined here. So our big job is delivering documents, and this can be, it's a wide range of things. Primarily legislation. We deliver a lot of legislation to the Senate floor, to offices. Communications, executive communication, that's one of my favorite ones to do, just because it takes forever. You go out and you just deliver different messages from committees, from different offices to the appropriate place. And then also a lot of records. So every day we print a new congressional record detailing what happened the last session and also anything important that's going to happen today. We have to distribute that to all the correct offices and correct desks. Another big thing is we need to be able to find senators for votes and other events. Unfortunately, and oftentimes senators don't really know where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be. So they like to dispatch us to go find them. But most often, it's usually just a senator will walk into the chamber, talk to other chambers, then leave, and they send one of us to go track them down because they forgot to vote. But, it's pretty minor stuff, and I suppose we all forget something now and again. Another big job is preparing the chamber. This can be for a variety of things, for when the vice president comes, for just the regular day, for any special events that are happening. Big thing are waters, making sure all the senators have their preferred water order, which could be a whole range of things. Some of them like tap water, some of them like bottled water, some of them like water with ice, some of them like sparkling water. And one senator in particular, whom I will not name, likes half regular water and half sparkling water.
Yeah.
I don't know. She never drinks it, but.
It's a she.
But again, the big thing is, it's just anything that is asked of us, which can be anything, and I mean anything. I have been sent to a senator's office to sing happy birthday to them. I've been sent to go get a lunch for a senator. It's a whole range of things. But probably my favorite miscellaneous thing that I get to do is I love to give tours. That's by far my favorite part. And during the October recess, when we had so much time, getting to work out of the senator's office and giving tours to fellow Kansans who were visiting, that was by far my favorite part. So if any of you are in D.C. over the next 3 weeks, I would love to give you a tour.
Can you ask for you?
Oh, yes. I can give you the good tour, not the regular tourist tour. I can take you into the good places.
Going to Washington.
Yeah. But now I believe I just have some pictures to show you. So this is my page class. There are 27 of us. I'm right there. And of course, we're all from across the country. So this is taken on the steps of the Capitol on the Senate wing. So this is the Senate. You can see the dome back there. And then further off to the left, that's where the House of Representatives would be. This is what we call the carriage entrance. It's senators only. Only senators are allowed to enter through there. But usually, well, not usually, but quite often we will use the entrance that's further back to the right here, which is considered the staff entrance. And here's another picture. This is on top of the Capitol. So I suppose that's taken right about up there. You can see the railing. You can actually go up all the way to the top. And I took we got a Capitol Dome tour, and I took a picture on top there. So here I am. This is overlooking the mall. You can see the Washington Monument there, and then all, well, not all of them, but a great deal of the Smithsonian's on each side. That's been something that I've really tried to prioritize in what little time off I have, is going to the mall and just trying to go to the Smithsonian's. I've gone to quite a few of them so far. I'd like to get a few more in my last 3 weeks there. But yeah, it's just about a 2-mile walk from where we live, so it is, you know, it's a daily commitment, but I really try and do it as best I can. But I think this is a pretty good picture. It's my mother's really liking it. She wants to get it developed, so might have to get it. And here's a picture that I took just a few weeks ago from our visit to the White House. This is right outside, I believe, I think it's the west side, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, this was just a few weeks ago when we visited the White House. It was really cool. Of course, being able to see it all decorated for Christmas. Of course, the White House is famous for its Christmas decorations, though I must admit, I found them a little bit tacky. In the Blue Room, they had a carousel set up, as in like a children's merry-go-round, and but you know, it was a very great experience. You know, it's just very lucky to be able to go through these places that you read about in history books, and actually being able to stand there and look at it. So that was very cool. Well, that's all I have for my presentation, but I know that I'm sure a lot of you probably have some questions that you'd like to ask me, so I'd like to spend whatever time we have left just answering questions that anyone might have.
I've kept this question, I've kept this from the beginning. So the place that you live in, you said they're gonna renovate it this summer and you might not get to see that. But in the future, if you're 24 years old and you go back to DC, do you have any kind of privileges to be able to go back and say, I lived here, I was a page, can I see it? Or?
Well, we have an alumni association that organizes reunions.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I was telling some of you about this morning, but actually a few weeks before I came home for Thanksgiving, the class of 1974 was having their 50th reunion, and they actually came and visited us at Daniel Webster Hall.
Wow.
And of course, they were Watergate pages, so they had a lot of stories to tell, so that was very interesting. So, I mean, yeah, you'll have to organize it, and usually it'll have to be for something special, but yeah, you can definitely come back and visit after you're a page.
Yeah.
One question in the math. 74 was 50 years ago. That doesn't seem...
That doesn't sound right.
No. Get a
Well,
calculator.
believe me, looking at some of those pages, believe me, they had 50 years on them.
You mentioned something about time management. What was like some of your takeaways from being so busy, and I guess recognizing this is a short service, but some takeaways of like your time, precious time, and priorities, and yeah.
Well, time's kind of been screaming in my face these past few weeks, especially just realizing that, I have 3 weeks left, and I've already spent a lot of, in retrospect, I spent a lot of time there, but it hasn't felt very long, not at all. But yeah, I mean, time is, that's the big thing that everyone talks about there, do you have time for homework? What time is this gonna happen? How much sleep am I gonna get tonight?
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. But I think, especially in these last few weeks, I've come to realize that I really need to, savor what time I have and to make the most of it. But of course, with so much, and as throughout the program, it has been difficult sometimes to remember that, just because you have so much stuff going on. But I think it has made me better at time management, in a variety of ways, and not just in the, the more practical sense of, planning ahead, when can I do this, when can I do that, but also just, using the time, wisely, spending it, like going to Smithsonian's, doing things that you may never do again, going and seeing places. And so I think that's an underrated aspect of time management that I definitely was not very in tune with before the program, that I think I'm more in tune with now as I approach the union.
Very good, very cool.
Yeah, Daryl had one, I cut him off a while ago.
I was curious about how you decided to apply for this and what preparation did you have to go through before you were chosen?
Yeah, well, I am a little bit of a different page in many ways compared to some of my peers, but and probably one of the biggest ways is that a lot of these kids have been planning this for quite a long time. You know, they had known about the program for years, and they were, you know, focusing their life around it. And they knew former pages that had gone to their school. They were getting advice from all sorts of different people, and they were, you know, really, curating an application that they, had been looked over by so many different people, and to get in. I, on the other hand, I found out about the program this past May, 3 months before the program started.
Wow.
So yeah, I didn't have much time at all to put together an application to, get letters from all the best people, and so yeah, I had to do it very quickly. I found out about it, and I remember the date actually, May 16th is when I found out about it. And initially, the application due date was July 1st. I wanted to apply, but I did not think I had enough time. So I was just going to say it's unfortunate, but I just move on. And I'm actually very thankful that some of my teachers encouraged me not to, and that that they could help me out, and I could put something together and meet the deadline. And well, here we are. But yeah, in terms of preparation, I never did anything to specifically prepare myself for the program in the preceding years, though I know that some of my peers did do that, in the way that they arranged their classes for this year, and just their extracurriculars. I just kind of threw myself into it without a lot of preparation. But yeah, making my application, every day for about that span of a month, I worked on it, tried to change something, make it sound better, and I submitted it, I believe, June 18th, and then a week later, I got an email asking for an interview, but I did not see that email actually because it had gone to my spam folder. So I didn't see it for another week, and they had actually sent me another email, again asking for an interview the week after that, and I still hadn't seen it because it, again, went to my spam folder. But thankfully I, was waiting for an email, and I was kind of anxious about it, but eventually I saw it. I wrote them an email apologizing for that, and I was able to have the interview. Then a week after the interview, I got a phone call, and they told me that they would like to have me, and from there on out for the rest of the summer, it was just trying to do what I could to prepare, not necessarily academically, more so just logistically, trying to make sure that everything would be in order when I left, and also as it begins to loom over me now, what's going to happen when I come back. So, yeah.
Are the pages all about a certain age, a certain grade, a certain...
Yes, you have to be under 18, and you have to be appointed for a regular term. You have to be 16 or 17. Now, I say regular term because actually this last Friday, before I left, of course we were still in session. We thought the government was going to get shut down, so they'd actually brought in former pages that had served before to act in our absence. So they were seniors, some of them were summer pages, one of them was a page for this last spring semester, but a few of them, but they all had to be under 18, that is their strict deal, but they were all older than us. So you can still be a page, not as a junior in high school, but it's not for any specific period of time.
So you could get called back for something sometime?
I could, theoretically. They tell each of us to always keep a uniform. But the likelihood of them calling me back, just given my proximity to DC compared to some of the other pages, is pretty unlikely.
And his mother says no.
Yes. And my mother has instructed me that if they ever do give me a phone call, not to pick it up.
Go to spam.
So
You have
Robbie,
one roommate?
your classes don't sound easy, and yet they sound like they're a big priority. So are those classes that, who determine what those classes are, and how do they benefit you? Are they just classes towards your high school graduation, or are they more than that?
Well, the Page Schools, you know, their official mission is to ensure that each page is able to return back to their normal school and be just fine. Now, we've heard from past pages that, you know, sometimes that's not exactly true, but, you know, they do their best. But yeah, I mean, it's just a standard credit is what it counts for.
Okay.
In the preceding weeks before the program started, we had to submit a whole stack of paperwork. And among those, that paperwork was what classes you would like to take.
Hmm.
So we have a teacher for each subject, and they can teach a whole range of different, you know, sub-subjects. And now, you don't always get what you want just the way the schedule works out, because, you know, of course, I'm not a mathematician, I can't give you the exact reason why, but, you know, sometimes you taking this class and someone else wants to take that class, but, you know, you have to be able to go to this class at this certain time, and there's not enough people in this class at this certain time to justify having it, and just a whole mess. But that's the thing, I did not get the exact classes that I wanted to take.
Hmm.
I was given two schedule options, and I picked the one that I figured would help me best, and I'm fairly happy with it. But
Good.
yeah, we do take different classes. I'm probably on the, I don't want to say the less advanced schedule, but the schedule that's more regular to regular high school. A lot of these kids, a lot of my peers are, they're in more advanced curriculums than what I have here in Winfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have the one roommate, is that right?
Yes, I do have, I used to have three. Well, no, excuse me, I used to have two. We used to be a room of three. My roommate, Holden, he's from Denver. Our third roommate, he was from Minnesota. He was a great guy, very smart guy, but unfortunately, he was not able to keep his grades high enough, and he was sent home shortly, just about a week before Thanksgiving, actually. But after that, I mean, me and my roommate, we are very lucky. We have the smallest room. Most of the boys' rooms have 3 people in them. The largest boys' room has 4. And we, of course, we only have 2. We have a 4-person room with only 2 people living in it. The girls, they're very unlucky. They only have 3 rooms. One with 4 girls in it, and the other 2 with 6 girls in it each. Yes.
How does that work?
So not so lucky on like the big chore days when there's
Yeah.
2 of you that
Yeah,
have
that
to
is the thing.
share that big
Well,
chore.
see, we would, that's what we were thinking about initially when we learned about this, but actually they now only give us the easy chores
Oh,
because
nice.
there are only 2 of us, so, yeah.
Well, my main question with the one roommate was, your time doesn't sound like, you don't have a lot of time. Have you been able to establish some relationships with the other pages there? Have you made some friendships that you think will last?
I like to think so, yes, but I
Yeah.
guess only time will tell, but I have to say that I probably have prioritized relationships less than some other pages, both out of necessity and also just honestly personal preference. You know, I don't like to do my homework at Starbucks all day. I like to do my homework in the library where it's quiet. You know, I don't like to go out, you know, every night that I can to a big fancy restaurant and spend all my entire paycheck that I made that week. I like to go downstairs and scrounge for whatever I can, which, granted, I probably should go out to eat more given the way that they stock our kitchen, but I've gotten by so far.
Are you on call during the day? Do you sit in the Senate back in the back in case you need to do something?
Oh, yeah, I should probably explain that. So like I said, we have 2 shifts, late and early shift. At any given time, except for votes, and that's a little bit of a different deal, but usually just during regular session, one shift is on the floor working, ready to do anything, and to do whatever needs to be done, and the other shift is in the back doing homework. Or at least that's what they should be doing, if they're using their time wisely. Yeah, the one shift out there, the one shift back there. The shift on the floor, we have, if any of you have watched C-SPAN before, you might notice you'll notice the pages sitting on either side of the rostrum. The Republican pages sit on this side where I sit, and then the Dem pages sit on the other side. We have a phone on the rostrum, and that phone hooks up to the cloakroom. And when something needs to be done, the cloakroom will call down, and they'll relay to us whatever needs to be done, and the pages on the floor will act and will perform whatever needs to be done. Again, it could be a whole wide range of things, but for the most part, never in my time have I been asked to come off of break because they need more pages for anything.
You have 3 more weeks? Is that what you
3
said?
more weeks, yes.
So you're gonna miss the transition.
I'll be around for a little bit of it. Probably nothing too major, especially given, probably not any confirmations, just because those have to go through committee, which takes quite a while, unless we file closure on them early, but I would not expect that to happen.
I'd just be curious how it works different between one president and another. Be intriguing.
Well, of course, with the shift from power, actually, when I come back this Friday, I will become a majority page instead of a minority page. So that will bring on a whole list of other duties. I'll have more places to take more paperwork, more water orders to remember since there are new senators' faces to remember, which actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That is something I intended to do over this break, is I need to learn the faces of the new senators coming in, so I'm able to recognize them. Yeah.
I think Warren has a question.
How much does a page of the Senate make?
I get an $800 paycheck every 2 weeks. Yeah, so pretty
Place
good.
to live.
And well, that's what I get. But actually, I'm paid more, but they take out for certain fees. I do get taxed by both the state government of Kansas and the federal government. I have to pay healthcare tax because I actually get free healthcare as a Senate employee. I have to pay rent, $780 a month, which is actually probably the best rent in DC, all things considered. And I think that might be it, but yeah, it's still more than enough, probably more than what I should be getting. But
And that's all taken out of your check before you're given your paycheck?
yes. So yeah, I'm just very grateful to be able to have that money.
Robbie, on the mall, all the monuments, the different monuments, are there any, there's so many inspiring things when you walk through the monuments. Are there any really moving quotes or from our founding fathers that really struck you, or anything inspirational that you really got out of, like some of the different
That's a really great question.
monuments? Yeah, like Lincoln or Jefferson or, yeah.
Well, I'd say probably the quote that strikes me most, and I see it every day, is actually in the Senate chamber.
Okay.
It's right over the front doors of the chamber, right down the center aisle, and it's actually the only motto in the Senate chamber that's inscribed that is not in Latin. There are 4. It's the only one that's not in Latin, and it's just a very simple national motto: "In God We Trust." And I think that's something that's very important. I think it's something that we should all be reminded of very often. I'm very glad that it's in such a place of such prominence where everyone can see it in the room. And you see it every day. You see it on the dollar bill. You see it on the quarter. I'm just very happy that I'm able to see that every day. And I think it's simple, but I think it's still true to heart. And I think it's something that we need to bring back in our country.
Great.
So who's the most interesting person you met?
Well, of course, I've met a whole range of politicians. Now, maybe those are interesting in a good or a bad way. But that's the thing. And probably the craziest part about my job is you see just a whole host of people. I have met a number of celebrities that I did not think I was going to meet. 2 weeks ago, I met Paris Hilton. I've met Bill Nye. Well, I didn't meet him, but he walked by my desk. Bill Nye the Science Guy walked right by my desk. I rode on the subway with Bill Gates. Jamie Foxx was he rode an elevator right next to me. I don't know why he was there. And that's the thing, a lot of these people are just visiting for one reason or another. And of course, you also meet a lot of former politicians. Patrick Leahy, the former pro tem from Vermont, senator for many years, he was visiting a few weeks ago. But also one day when I was working at Republican caucus lunch, a man was eating with all the senators whom I did not recognize until one of the senators, I forget who, addressed him as Mr. Vice President. And I didn't know who that was, but actually when I got out I asked someone who it was, and they told me that was actually Dan Quayle, who was visiting. I'm sure some of you, well, I'm sure most of you should probably remember who Dan is. But yeah, I did not recognize him, so I'm thinking, how could you recognize him? But yeah, so I mean, you see you don't get to meet so many, you really don't get to meet many people other than the senators and politicians, but you do definitely get to see a lot of interesting people.
So, you'll be a senior next year.
That's right.
After that, you have plans to go where? And has this changed your future plans any that you?
Well, it's definitely made me reflect on it and think about it, and in the short term, and in the long term, you know. Like I mentioned earlier, right now I am kind of really thinking about, you know, readjusting, trying to, you know, pick up where I left off and making sure that everything's in order here for the rest of my junior year and also going into my senior year. And, you know, the veracity of that is in question right now, to say the least, but of course, I'll deal with that when I get back for good, I suppose. But you know, in the long term, I'd like to go to West Point. I'd like to eventually go on to become a JAG officer in the Army. So that's an Army lawyer, is what it is.
Wow.
And that's what most pages go on to be. Most of them go on to be lawyers. Then, of course, a lot of people are asking when I'm running for president, and you know, I'm not going to say that is an explicit goal of mine. But you know, I would definitely like to work in public service. I'd like to, you know, help my country, help my community, and whatever way is best to do that, we'll see when we get there.
How about expenses? How much do you pay your own way? Does the government provide money for food and
yes.
travel?
So like I said, every other day they cater a meal for us for when you're late shift. If you're on early shift, you kind of have to fend for yourself. Now that could be scrounging for food in the kitchen, which they do pay for, they stock it for us. Or you can go out to eat and use your own money. Breakfast is the same way. As for lunch, I get $15 a day to spend in the Dirksen cafeteria under the Dirksen Senate office building. It's a pretty good cafeteria. It's a large selection of things. If you're ever there, I recommend getting the bread pudding. The bread pudding is very good, and get it with the vanilla sauce. It's great. Yeah, do not get the Senate bean soup though. The Senate bean soup is not. And it's actually really great because you can actually, if you don't spend all your money, it actually rolls over into the next day on a weekly basis. So it resets every week, but it doesn't reset every day. So I'll admit that some days I do like to, you know, taper off a bit, so that way I can have a really nice meal the next day. So.
I think you're going to be an interesting time in the next few weeks with
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
Oh, yes.
I bet
A very recent
State
development.
and inauguration and be just something that, well, I want once in a lifetime. I mean, that probably.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting out there. And of course, with the development that I actually found out about 5 minutes before I left to come here, that Jimmy Carter has died. Of course, he will have a state funeral in Washington. He'll have to lie in state in the rotunda for, I'm not sure the exact amount of time, but yeah, I suppose that's just another thing to add onto the list of things that I'm going to get to do, because I mean, I do not believe that the Senate or the government's not going to shut down for him. I don't think the Senate will stop being in session for him. So I'll be right there. I don't think I'll actually get to go to the actual funeral when he marches, when he's carried down Pennsylvania Avenue or anything. But it'll still be very cool to be in town when that happens.
Now, the inauguration, will you be there?
Yes, I will be. Yeah, not in any official capacity, more so just as for ceremonial purposes. I won't actually be doing anything. But I will have, I'm not sure exactly where my seat will be. You probably won't be able to see me on television, but I will be seated in relatively close proximity to the stands. I'll be behind the president, though, when he's taking the oath of office. And of course, from what we've heard, the Senate actually plans to be in session that day. So I'll probably finish there and then go straight to work.
And you said you'll be on TV next Monday. What was that?
Oh, yes, so on January 6th, that is when we will carry the electoral ballots to be confirmed. So after that, the whole election will become official, and, I don't know what state I'll be carrying. It probably won't actually be Kansas, it's not based on where you're from, but, no, you'll just see me either carry a big envelope or a big box, and I'll march it down to the House chamber to be confirmed by the Vice President.
How often do you see the president?
Well, I've seen him twice. The first time I saw him actually was on Veterans Day. We had the day off for that. And I, myself and a few other pages, decided to go to Arlington National Cemetery for the ceremonies there. And that was one of my favorite things that I've done there. It was great. And we saw the president speak. The Marine Band played a concert. It was really great to be there. And I mean, a whole host of people were there. The President, Vice President, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, a lot of important people were there. The second time I saw him was actually just a few weeks ago when I visited the White House. And that was very brief, about 5 minutes, nothing major. And yeah, that's probably the last time I'll see him, until inauguration.
Now, the House doesn't have pages, right?
No, they used to though. The House page program shut down in 2011 when John Boner took over as Speaker. He just decided that they were too big of an expense. And, the House program, it's larger. It was larger, about 90 pages. They had a bigger dorm, a bigger school, and they also have had quite a few scandals over their history, much fewer than what the Senate page program has had. But yeah, all of that just kind of culminated into them getting shut down. So yeah, now the Senate page program endures. For how much longer, I can't say. I hope for quite a while. I think it is a great program that should be preserved, and it's a great piece of history. Yeah, there are the funding questions about it. Is this the best use of government money? And I'm not sure that's really my place to say, but I really do sincerely hope that at the very least they find a way to preserve it and keep it going.
Your teachers, how long have they been teachers for you folks, kids?
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Most of them are, I think our least experienced teacher at the Page School has been teaching there for about 5 years now. Now, of course, they're all very good teachers that have to be able to work around our schedule and, be able to be flexible and be able to teach, an entire semester's worth of content in a 35-minute class. So, obviously, they're very good teachers, but I'd say probably the standout teacher by far, and any page will tell you this, is our English teacher, Mrs. Owens. She came to the Page School, I believe, in 1998, and she has taught there ever since. And I mean, probably the first thing that any page in the last 25 years will ask about the Page program is, how is Mrs. Owens? And, maybe not necessarily for good reasons all the time, but I mean, she is, there's really no way to describe her other than just iconic. She everything about her, the way that she teaches, it's memorable. And, she's also given out the same assignments for about, for her entire endurance. And I can tell you that because actually if you, so in the back lobby where we do our homework in the Senate, we have dictionaries to be able to do our work. And pages from the past will go through the dictionary and mark the answers to her assignments for future pages to have. To be perfectly honest, we're pretty sure she knows about this. Just in the spirit, and also just kind of, I don't know, maybe in reveling in what she's been able to do. She just lets it go on. And, some of us have said that, when she does retire, they should name the Page School after her just because of the impact that she's had. And that's it. Yeah, she loves writing recommendation letters for former pages. She loves talking to former pages, and she's definitely she's a memorable teacher for good and bad reasons. She's kind of the the stereotypical kind of mean English teacher. But at the end of the day, we're all fairly certain that she does actually care and that she does everything she does just partly to be funny, but also because she wants the best out of us. So yeah, great teachers at the Page School.
Robbie, and it doesn't have to be the last question, we can go all night, but so Might you share kind of a reason for hope for our country and our government after your experience that you
Yeah, I think, and I hope that this isn't too surprising to many of you, but what you see on the news, you know, a lot of the division, you know, the name calling, a lot of that's not real. The senators are very kind to each other on both sides. You know, they like to talk about their families with each other. They know each other on a first-name basis. They go out to eat with each other. You know, they're very friendly with one another. And, you know, a lot of people who visit the Senate and come in to watch us in session, they'll complain that nothing's happening. Because, I mean, most of the time there's only one senator in the room, the presiding officer, and quite literally nothing is happening. And you know, that's what it looks like. You know, but I can assure you that behind where there's not the press, where the cameras aren't rolling, they are doing something. Now, what that is, you know, whether or not that's the best thing, I can't say for sure. But I can assure you that all the senators are doing what they're doing and are there because they want to do something good. And they are, you know, they make mistakes. You know, they don't always do what we think is best, and maybe that they do try, and they don't hate each other near as much as the media would like you to think. And yeah, you know, speaking of the media, you know, I've seen the way that they, you know, chase a story. I've seen the way that they swarm senators, you know, asking about something that happened 5 minutes ago and just trying to get a reaction out of them. And yeah, I guess I would leave you with just don't trust everything you see on the news. I guess just have faith that, you know, things are better than what they may seem.
Yeah, that's a good word. Well, let's thank Robbie.
Yeah.
We do have snacks and food in there if you're